Okay, here's the second part of the fallacies lecture. Hopefully, this goes fairly quickly. Another main reason for fallacies is just ignoring the issue. And so, what's happening here is the fallacies are used to divert attention from the issue. They're used a lot in public debate, like political debates, also an awful lot of times on the editorial pages. You have to seriously keep an eye out for this. People use this all the time. Sometimes they don't even realize they're doing it, but it does cause issues not to occur. When you look at Thank You for Smoking, the beginning of the movie, he does that at the during the talk show when they're supposed to be talking about smoking and teen cancer, and he diverts it to why would we want this poor victim to die? So he takes it to some other topic, so he doesn't have to deal with the fact that smoking causes cancer in teenagers. All right, so one is begging the question. As students, a lot of you, in my experience, tend to fall for this one. I see it in argument papers and research papers all the time. So here's the problem is you're assuming part of the argument is true without any supporting evidence for that part of the argument. So in this one, obviously if more students are passing the exams, then the students are learning more than they used to. So there's two big problems with this statement. One is begging the question. Obviously, if more students are passing exams, where's the evidence that more students are passing the exams? That's the question. Then the other problem is students are learning more than they used to learn. Well, no, maybe they just got better at cheating. Maybe the exams have gotten easier. Maybe there are teachers helping them to cheat on the exams. It doesn't correlate. So two main problems. So that you really need to watch out for everything when you're looking at art. All right, the red herring. This is a real common one. So it's introduced as a side issue, not relevant to the argument. So this is what the guy does in Thank You for Smoking. He does it a lot. So this comes from detective stories in the 30s and 40s, where the writer would give a clue to point the finger at somebody who may have committed the murder in order to throw you off the track. Uh, it may be called a red herring because if you were escaping from a chain gang or from a prison and you're running through the woods, if you could find a red herring and brush it past over your footsteps where you'd walked, the fish smell would keep the dogs from being able to track you. So this one was used during the Iraq War. Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction. He gassed his own people. So the argument is he has weapons of mass destruction. We're throwing it off that issue, though, by saying he gassed his own people. Well, the argument was made in 2003 when he gassed his own people in 1989. Uh, Not really relevant, and also doesn't really support that that he has these weapons. So watch for that one. Straw man, you're giving erroneous views to opponents that they do not hold, and then you get to attack them on those. So this was used when President Bush first took office. Before Obamacare, there was a thing called the Child Health Care Bill that gave a million underprivileged children health care, and he vetoed it. And so the argument made by Democrats was Bush must think that poor children should provide for their own health care since he vetoed the child health care bill. Well, no, he vetoed it because the Democrats had put uh, the parents on there as well. And he said this isn't a parent and child bill, it's a child bill. And the Democrats knew he was going to veto it. They just wanted something to use against him. So they that's a straw man fallacy. I don't think Bush didn't care for children. He cared for all children. All right, ad hominem to the man. So you attack your opponent, not his or her argument. So the argument, of course, my opponent wants national health care. She's a bleeding heart liberal who wants to spend all our tax money on the poor. This doesn't deal with the argument that this person may have for why she wants national health care. It attacks the person. So watch these as well. These occur all the time, especially in politics. Then this is my wife's favorite one, the common practice or bandwagon. the everyone is doing it argument. So the argument here is, of course, I should plagiarize my paper. All my friends did, and they all got either an A or B. Has nothing to do with the fact that you shouldn't be plagiarizing, that it's unethical. My wife always does this. She always says, well, everybody at work. I'm like, oh, great, everybody at work. Or it's the mom defense. Remember, your mom, I don't know if your mom ever said this to you, but if you jump off the bridge, if your friends jump off the bridge, would you jump off the bridge? I used to have to tell her, Mom, I'd be the first one to jump. They follow me. I don't follow them. And then ad populum, this also used a lot by politicians. So you appeal to the presumed shared values of the audience. So this argument was made it's in our best shared interest to bring China into the WTO, the World Trade Organization, because it will spread democracy. Americans love democracy. They want to spread it. So you be careful of that. And it doesn't have to be an argument. I mean, one of the things that happened after 9/11 is all the politicians started wearing little American flags to appeal to our sense of patriotism. And it's just manipulating people that way. That itself was a fallacy. All right, guilt by association, you attack a person's credibility by linking that person to someone whose behavior is considered suspect. That's why it's called guilt by association. So she does not deserve re-election. Her husband has a gambling addiction. Well, what's that got to do with her? She may be a good politician. The gambling addiction is her husband's problem, but you're linking her to him and saying that she's not a good person also. And then there's non sequitur. It does not follow. So it's just an irrelevant argument. So you're trying to put two ideas together that don't actually logically connect. So this statement, if we can send a spaceship to Mars, then we can discover a cure for cancer. Well, sending a spaceship to Mars is physics. I mean, if you give me enough time, like a couple of 100 years and enough books, I can figure out how to build a spaceship. It's physics. But cancer, that's biology. And we don't understand biology half as well as we do uh, physics. And so there's no relationship there. So that's non sequitur. And then you have just oversimplification. Be careful of this just in everything. So the claims an overly direct relationship between a cause and effect. So if we prohibit the sale of alcohol, we'll get rid of binge drinking. That's oversimplification. And guess what? We did prohibit the sale of alcohol. It was called prohibition, and people drank more, not less, once we did that. Because once you tell an American he or she can't do something, guess what he or she's going to do? Anyway, so those are all the fallacies. Make sure you're familiar with them so that when you take the quiz, you don't have any trouble, uh, you know, relating which one goes to which sentence. All right.